We are all sickened by that $13 billion that our respective governments gave to Volkswagen for the battery plant in Ontario. Stellantis, or Chrysler as it was then known, also got some money before them, but when they heard about the $13 billion, they came back and said, hey, well, what about us? Give us more money. Jay Goldberg is with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. He joins me now because I want to know from your perspective, and Stellantis was right, why should they, just because they had a good deal, not get a better deal when Volkswagen got? Does this mean that anybody coming to Ontario, coming to Canada, should go up hat in hand and say, give me a whole bunch of money or else I'm going to go to the States?
Well, that's exactly what Stellantis decided to do. And when you see the sweetheart deal that Volkswagen got, you really can't blame them. But on top of that, every company that's in Ontario now but can threaten to leave can also make the very same case to the government. And so we're setting a terrible precedent by handing out billions of dollars. And I should note the PBO just came out and said the Volkswagen number, it's now already up to $16 billion. So that's already gone up billions within a matter of weeks.
PBO, Parliamentary Budget Office.
Parliamentary Budget Officer.
So it's up to $16 billion, and we know the way government goes, and it's going to be the taxpayer in a few generations probably who has to pay this. But do you think that the government, any government, will call the bluff of a company saying, you know what, land is cheap in the States. They're going to give us a better deal than you unless you give me a good deal to stay here. Yes. They're going to say, well, you know what, fine, take it and run.
It's just what we're doing, the strategy, it's wrong. The strategy needs to be, how do we become more competitive? It's not through handouts and picking and choosing which companies should succeed and having small businesses pay their tax dollars to compensate for these large companies who are getting sweetheart deals. The answer is lower taxes, less regulation, more competitive environment for all companies to move here.
Yeah, and a source of power and a source of skilled workers and people that want to work. But I remember when, at the turn of the century, when the auto companies were in trouble, the government gave GM an awful lot of money, and Ford said, you know what, we don't need it. And so they turned down billions of dollars. They said, we just don't need it. I mean, and good for them, but there's not too much credit to that these days.
No, I mean, Ford did it, but that was the last we've heard of it. And very recently, the federal government got together with the province, and they both gave $250 million to the Ford Motor Company to be building a plant here in Ontario. So
yeah, but you know what? $250 million compared to $16 billion, Ford got screwed.
Well, you're absolutely, I mean, that's a point taken, but now is Ford going to come back a few months from now and ask for $13 billion?
Why not? Ford can say, we can go anywhere in the States and they'll welcome us with open arms. You give me another $13 billion to stay here.
Well, this is the kind of financial extortion we could end up having because of this addiction we seem to have with corporate welfare. It has to end.
Jay Goldberg, not addicted. Stephen LeDrew, not either. 3 minutes. This country needs bold and fearless discussion of the issues that are confronting it. And the Trudeau government is censoring the news and paying other news providers. So we need to keep going. Please subscribe and please donate generously. The crew needs to be paid.